Decentralized finance is already revolutionizing the world of finance. You just don't know it yet.
What happens to the world economy when you bring 6 billion new people online? What happens to poverty across the world when you can extend financial services, opportunity, credit, liquidity?
The greatest dislocation of wealth in human history. What are you going to do? What's the choice that you're going to make? Welcome to DeFi Live. My name is Brian Rose. I'm the founder and host of London Real, and this is our program that's dedicated to everything known as DeFi or decentralized finance. This is a $9 trillion a year marketplace. If you haven't noticed, we've been all in on crypto assets and DeFi now for many, many months. And here is the place where I'm going to teach you how to profit from DeFi and what I'm calling the greatest transformation of wealth in human history. You've got to get plugged into this right now. Next year, it's going to be too late. And today, I want to specifically teach you about crypto chart reading made simple. I'm going to show you how to profit from the trend with advanced technical analysis. How many people have seen all of the charts and the diagrams and don't know exactly what's going on? Sometimes it's overdone. It always seems complicated. Today, I want to make it really, really simple for everyone here. I appreciate all our live audiences, those here on Zoom, in our in-studio audience. Maybe we'll flash over here to Zoom. Give me a wave if you're Zoom here. This is our in-studio audience that have joined us. I can see all your waving hands and smiling faces. So thanks for being here. And whether you're on Instagram or YouTube, leave me questions right now because I'm going to go live to your questions very soon. First of all, before we get started, I just want to say I couldn't be more proud than our students right now in the DeFi Academy, because in the DeFi Market Wizards group, which is our private group, it's where we have a trading peer group where we're completely transparent with our positions and our P&Ls. My students crushed it in August, and I just want to give a shout out to my top performers. I had Mark, who won first place, and by the way, $500 worth of Dogecoin that I sent to him, with a 417% return. That's Mark 417 in 1 month. You heard me right. So Mark got the gold prize. Arnold got second prize with 100% return on his money. He doubled his money in August. And again, he posted his exact positions and his P&L so we could all see what was happening. We had Stian coming in third place with an 83% return on the month. Lee, 75% return. Ben, 69%. Ramsey, 56%. Travis with a 39% return on their portfolio for 1 month of trading. This is inside my DeFi Market Wizards group, and you can only get access if you graduate from our DeFi Accelerator. So it's a small group of people, and we're all in there going big on crypto and DeFi. We've got amazing people here. Again, they're real people with real profile pictures, with real videos, with real portfolios, and that's how we know the big moves that are going to happen and the new exciting coins as well. So big shout out to those people. Also, I want to shout out Pascale, who had the one trade of the month, the single biggest return trade of 442% on one trade when she bought XLM in August. So big congratulations to her. I just sent her $500 worth of AVE as well as some bonus videos. We also had Stian, who bought AVAX for a 326% return. AVAX is Avalanche, which I spoke about this week live in this studio with Stani Kulishov, the founder of AVE. Big deal announced today on AVAX, and we're going to be talking more about that trade. But I just want to say I'm super proud, and congratulations to all of my graduates of the DeFi Accelerator and the DeFi Academy. They are now putting my teachings into place and are profiting big time on their portfolios. We will have the September results in 2 more weeks, and we're just going to keep going and going. As Gordon Gekko once said, you win a few, you lose a few, but you keep on fighting. And that's what we're going to do for the next 10 years. And my students are absolutely crushing it. So big shout out to them. And thank you so much for being a part of this incredible DeFi Academy that we have going on. Today, I want to talk about chart reading, technical analysis, and how to make sense with what's going on. And I want to talk about 4 issues. First of all, why read charts in the first place? Why does historic data help us predict the future? Secondly, I want to talk about chart reading basics. I'm going to go into what a candlestick is. a volume indicator, and time frames. And I'm going to talk about the concepts of support and resistance. So stay tuned. This is coming very quickly. Third, I want to talk about how to understand ascending and descending trend lines. These are triangle price patterns that are really going to help you with analysis. I'm going to also talk about moving averages. These are very important indicators. 50-day moving averages, 100-day moving averages, 200-day moving averages. And finally, I'm going to finish with some advanced technical analysis points, something called MACD, RSI, Relative Strength Index, and of course, Bollinger Bands. I'm going to show you how to use these things. And again, you don't need to be an absolute expert on these things to use them in your trading decisions. So all that's coming. Stay tuned here. We're live. I'm going to take your questions on all the platforms here. Before we get started, I just want to say I am not a financial advisor, and nothing on this video should be considered financial advice. If you want that, contact your financial advisor. So let's get started and first of all talk about the big picture here. Why read charts at all? And one of the first mistakes that I think new traders to the crypto asset space do is they see people looking at charts and they assume all of the answers are inside the chart. Like it's a crystal ball or a palm reading that you can look at the chart and it will tell you what to do going forward. And that's, first of all, not true at all. And second of all, it's worth testing the assumption. Why do we look at historic data in the first place? Why bother? Why should the past determine the future? There's plenty of instances in history where the past didn't determine the future, right? Your day yesterday does not predict the day you're going to have today, but it is an indicator. And that's why we look at it, because the truth is this. When we look at certain asset classes, and stay with me here, if you look at stocks and bonds and foreign exchange, which I traded for over 15 years in the financial markets of New York City, Chicago, and London, as separate asset classes, they do tend to have certain behaviors over time, certain standard deviations, certain price actions that are relatively predictable. Now, when it's Black Thursday last year in the crypto markets, that's not predictable. When you have a crisis in Asia or a Russian ruble crisis, or you have a major problem when it comes to people being over leveraged like we saw happen in the financial crisis of 07 and 08, you can't predict those events, but regularly and normally you can predict the value of these asset prices. So that's why we look at historical data, and I want to walk you through that concept today. But before we get started, I want to say this. When I started trading in 1993, I didn't have access to real-time price data. My technology looked a lot like this picture here, and this is a picture of Bud Fox in the movie Wall Street. And I did kind of look basically like this. I had black phones like this, 2 of them. I used to stick them on my shoulder. I used to have this kind of cocky look. Sometimes there would literally be someone shining my shoes at this time. There was someone that would go around and shine people's shoes on the floor. You'd have one phone over one shoulder, one phone on the other shoulder. And in front of me, I had a bunch of phone lines and a bunch of green screens like you saw Bud Fox had. Just to let everybody know, there was no internet back then, right? Or there was no browsers. So we didn't have the internet. We didn't have much access to real-time information. And so guess what? We had to trade on other pieces of data. We had speakers shouting down prices in action. We had direct phone lines to where I could call people in cities all around the world and in trading firms all around the world and find out what's going on, what's happening. And it was a one-punch direct line, and I could shout at them. So I didn't have to dial phone numbers. We didn't have time for phone numbers. I had about 100 direct lines, speakers shouting down information from the Chicago Board of Trade, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, from various treasury desks and futures exchanges. And that's how we got the data in our head to make important trading decisions. So first of all, I sat next to people that made hundreds of millions of dollars a year, and they didn't have charts. So just want to say, you don't have to have these things to be a good trader. And I met plenty of capable traders over the years that didn't have these things. But the more data, the better, and these can be used as a tool. And one of the big innovations that happened when I was on Wall Street was something known as Bloomberg, or the Bloomberg Terminal. And before Mike Bloomberg became the mayor of New York, he was known as a technology genius. And here's a picture of Mike with his technology platform called a Bloomberg. And you see these big chunky screens that are stacked on top of each other. And you see that tiny little keyboard that Mike Bloomberg can barely type on with his fingers. Well, that was our technology back then. And you could pull up historical prices when it came to bond futures and other indexes. And when I was a trader, we always had the 30-year bond future on one of our Bloomberg screens, and we'd keep it at the corner of our eye, and we'd always see what it was doing. And that terminal saved my bacon on a regular basis when I was doing real-time trades with customers, so I could find out and get a feel for where the market was going. So again, it was helpful, but I did not spend any amount of my time during the day analyzing charts. I was trading, I was listening to people, I was talking to people, and I was reading research reports, but I didn't have the tools that you all have today, and we all still managed to make a boatload of money. All right, so you don't need these things, but they can be useful. I'm going to talk about that today. The last thing I want to say is this: you can overdo it when it comes to charts. And I'll stick something on the screen. This is someone taking chart reading going too far. And if you're not live with me here, I'm basically showing a chart with about 400 lines on it here. I don't know if you can see it on my computer here, but it's basically someone who's drawn about 1,000 lines, and it basically means you can draw any conclusion from any chart if you draw enough lines. All right. So again, charts don't predict the future. They are one of many factors that should come into your trading decisions, and I'm going to talk about that today. So again, big shout out if you're watching us. If you're on Zoom here, turn your cameras on. I can see some pretty faces here. Wave to me here. I can see a bunch of you here. And submit your questions here on Zoom. We're just going to go and show you our in-studio audience. If you want to be in our studio audience, get on our email list, and we invite you to this Zoom call, and you get first preference when it comes to questions. And I'm going to get to you really soon. First of all, let me just say, in the news, we got a bunch of things happening. First of all, crypto's back. All right. We skidded on some lows. Bitcoin was flirting with the $40,000 level, and now it's coming back through the mid-40s, testing the high 40,000s. Again, this is a perfect example of support levels. We've seen some real support here in crypto when it comes to Ethereum and Bitcoin, and it feels like we've got a nice base here that we can build upon going forward. So that's a great piece of news, and it looks like crypto is back, and we have a potential rally on our hands, which is super exciting. Secondly, I just want to say, we've had some incredible guests this week. We had Stani Kulachov in studio this week live, and he's the founder and CEO of Aave, the biggest DeFi lending platform in the world. All right, $19 billion of lending, $8.5 billion in borrowing, and Aave basically wrote the book when it comes to how to borrow and lend crypto assets. I spent over 2 hours with Stani. He was right here in the studio. I could see the whites of his eyes. And I couldn't be more impressed with this young man or this company. And I'm so happy they represent London and they represent DeFi. Again, Stani dropped knowledge the entire episode. You can go watch it now on our website, and we're going to be re-releasing that in clips. Again, Stani told me and taught me so much. The man owns over 2,000 NFTs. All right. He's completely plugged into the DeFi ecosystem. He really understands how borrowing and lending is a crucial part, and he's a big fan of building quote-unquote Legos that he can put out there in the system and allow other people to build upon. He had a lot to say about regulation, like I said, NFTs, a lot to say about Cardano, Avalanche, you name it, we talked about it. It was an amazing interview. You can go watch it now. And again, he was here in studio. It was a fantastic experience. So big shout out to Stani. He said he would come back and see us regularly and give us a point of what's happening in the state of art of DeFi. Also, he is building a team right now in London. He's taken his team from 15 people up to 100 people. So if you want to work at an amazing company, go to Aave and check him out. I couldn't recommend it even more. Before that, the previous week, we had Sandeep Nailwal, founder of Polygon. He's good friends with Stani, and they're doing an amazing job as a layer 2 solution for Ethereum, making things trade 1,000 times faster and 1,000 times cheaper. Again, you can watch that on our website as well. And right here on this broadcast, in this studio, I'm going to feature live the founders of Nexo, the founder of Celsius, the founder of AVAX or Avalanche, which just got a $230 million investment into their ecosystem by some big VC. I'm talking about Polychain Capital, Three Arrows Capital, and Stani spoke about their big partnership with AVAX as well. If you're not too late, you might want to go check out that asset. My wizards have been trading AVAX, as you can see, for months because we get the information first here inside the DeFi Academy and the accelerators, and we couldn't be more proud of what our students are doing. Lastly, I just want to say our next DeFi accelerator starts in 2 weeks. We're going to close this thing out soon. I'm getting applications all the time. I read them personally, and I will reply to you if you want to apply to be part of our DeFi accelerator. It's 4 weeks. It's personally mentoring with me, and people love this experience. But we're closing out our next class very soon. So if you're interested, there's a link below, londonreal.tv/DeFi. Submit your application. It takes less than 60 seconds. I'll review it myself, And again, if you get accepted, I highly recommend you sign up to our course. It's very exclusive. Right now, it's oversubscribed, but I'm looking for the best people out there. We've got people all around the world at the top of their game right now in our accelerator, and it's an amazing group of people, and we are crushing this entire space, and we're very excited for the future. Let's get started, and before I get started, I want to pay homage to a certain man in history, because when it comes to trading, I like to think just like the famous Chinese general. His name was Sun Tzu. He wrote a book called The Art of War, and Sun Tzu said this, and I think about this when it comes to trading. He said, every battle is won before it's ever fought. Let me repeat that. Every battle is won before it's ever fought. And that's the way he would approach battle thousands of years ago, because he knew that if he prepared well enough, that he could already have won the battle even before it began. And that's the way we look at trading inside the DeFi Academy. Every trade is won before it's ever placed. We already understand what's happening. We've got our analysis, we've got our plan, we've also got our stop losses and our profit-taking scenarios locked in place with automated orders, so we can't change our mind when we get emotional about that trade. And by the way, you get emotional about a trade 60 seconds after you place a trade, because already you know whether it's making money or losing money, and you start to sabotage yourself. And so inside our academy, we have strict discipline and trading protocols, and that's why my students have been so successful in 1 month alone. And I just want to pay homage there to Sun Tzu. Also, what I'm talking about today and inside my academy, they're trading philosophies that I've adopted over the past 30 years of being inside the financial markets. They're real and they work, and I teach them inside my DeFi Academy. This is based on what I learned from the greatest traders in the world that I had the privilege to sit next to in New York City, in Chicago, and here in London in the financial arena, where I worked for 9 years in the credit derivatives market. And so today I'm going to go into these things and talk about advanced crypto trading. I'm talking about technical analysis, and I'm going to show you how to use these charts to take everything to the next level. Before we get started, I just want to say we know that this market is exploding. Forbes magazine recently said that this will shift the structure of the whole financial system at a macroeconomic level. And the truth is simply this. Decentralized finance, it's already revolutionizing the world. You just don't know it yet. It's not too late, but it's going to be too late by next year. It's time for you to pull the trigger and start learning about this space. This marketplace is going to open up trillions of dollars worth of value. It's going to give financial freedom back to the 2 billion people in this world that are quote unquote unbanked and don't have the basic human right of access to financial markets. This is a travesty. We all should be ashamed, and we all should be working hard to get this human right back in place for everybody here. And that's why me and my team decided to go all in for the next 10 years on DeFi. That's all we're talking about. That's all we're teaching. And I spend 24 hours a day basically thinking and teaching and creating content for you when it comes to this space. My plan is to do two things. I want to create generational wealth for my students and my community, and I want to give financial freedom back to the people by creating DeFi infrastructure. That's it. That's all I'm doing for the next 10 years. That and raising my sons and making sure I take care of myself. That's it. That's what we're doing. And if you want to be a part of that, join us inside the academy. All right, today I want to start about 3 things. By the way, I want to give a big wave to our audience on Zoom here. Turn your camera on so I can see all your beautiful faces. I can see you all. Great to see everybody. Thanks for the waves. If you want to join us on Zoom, go to your email and click on the link. Big shout out to Instagram and YouTube and everybody else who's joining us. Today, I want to talk about 3 things. The first thing I want to talk about is chart reading basics. And I'm going to go through candlesticks, volume indicators, and time frames. I think you probably see a candlestick chart here on the screen right now. And you can see that these are green, these are red, and I'm going to talk about why these things are used and how we can use the body and the colors and the wick to basically analyze data and compartmentalize it in a very fast way into our brain so we can make quick decisions. That's what a chart is basically for. It assimilates a large amounts of data points, and it gives it to you in a simple way to where you can make an intelligent decision. So I'll be talking about that. I'm also going to be talking about these concepts of support and resistance levels. All right, and you can see this price chart on screen, but we're seeing this happen right now. We have seen support in Bitcoin in the low 40,000s here, and that's more than just a number on a chart. That tells us that there are a bunch of people in the world right now who are happy to buy Bitcoin when it gets into the low 40,000s. If they didn't exist, the price of Bitcoin would be down lower now. and even lower and even lower. So it tells us that there is support there, and it tells us about the psychology and the mindset of what's happening in the market. And lastly, I want to show that sometimes these support levels and these resistance levels, they move over time. And here's a picture showing how sometimes these become trends and trend lines where you see support and resistance level that slowly move over time and trend upwards and downwards based on market sentiment and adoption and ideas. And so we're going to get to all of that today. So that's concept one. Second thing I want to talk about today is how to understand some basic ascending and descending trend lines. These are called triangle price patterns. And I also want to quickly talk about moving averages. So right here on the screen, you'll see something called an ascending triangle. And what it basically expresses is there is buying interests that are testing the sellers. And in an ascending triangle, you actually break through and make new highs. And I think we're about to see this in Bitcoin and Ethereum. We're also going to talk about something called a descending triangle. This is what happens when you're testing the lows and you're trying to potentially see the sellers become more bearish and break through some of the price support. And we see this sometimes. And finally, I'm going to talk about some pattern. And that's one where it's not always clear whether it's going to break up or break down, but you know something's going to happen because supply and demand are coming head to head. And again, these are things that if you know they exist, they're going to help you a lot in the future, and they're going to help you make those decisions. And finally, what I'm going to do is talk about moving averages. And I think you'll see a chart here on the screen that just shows you some simple 200-day moving averages, 100-day, 50-day, as well as that daily candlestick pattern. And you can start to see flows and information. And when you see moving averages cross each other, when you see a 50 or 100 or 200-day moving average cross, you know something's happening. And again, it's a great thing to keep your eye on in the background. Again, I'm not a fan of staring at charts all day, every day. I think it's a waste of time. I think crypto day trading is a waste of time, and I know it is because 90% of the traders out there lose money. And that's why most people quit and get frustrated, and that's why we don't trade that way. And that's why my students are posting triple-digit returns on one single month. And we're going to talk about this concept of how we analyze charts later. Lastly, I want to finish with some complex advanced technical analysis. And again, I don't want to confuse you, but we're going to go through things called MACD, RSI or Relative Strength Index, and Bollinger Bands, and I'll stick them on the screen. You can see on the screen here just a little peek into what MACD is. And again, it's a great way of looking at two different moving averages. And again, just getting an idea whether something is overbought or oversold. I'm also going to talk about RSI or Relative Strength Index. It goes from 0 to 100. And again, it's just another way where you can tell if something is overbought or oversold. And lastly, we're going to talk about things called Bollinger Bands. And again, it uses standard deviation, which is a common measure in statistics, to just get an idea of when the market's going to break out of some trends. And again, you don't need to be an expert in this stuff, and I don't want you to get intimidated by these things. I think there's a lot of people out there in the trading space who try to confuse you with these numbers and patterns and charts in order to get you to make them make your trading decisions. I think that's wrong. I think you should have an analysis of this, and I always go back to my analogy of Formula One racing. Now in the UK here, Lewis Hamilton he's kind of the best of the best, maybe in the world, all right? Now Lewis Hamilton's an amazing Formula One driver, okay? He sits behind a piece of technology that's probably got hundreds of millions of dollars behind it, maybe even $1 billion of research, of teammates, of everything. He sits behind this car and he has to drive it every day. Now, is Lewis Hamilton a PhD in physics, in material science, in combustion, in chemistry, in all of those things? No. He doesn't have to know exactly how the rubber melts off the tire and keeps him from crashing to his death. What he has to know is how to drive that sucker, right? And he drives it better than anybody in the business. And so I'd like to think of you as the same way. You are the Formula One driver of your crypto asset portfolio. What you need to know is how it performs. You don't need to know how it all works. So again, I want you to understand these indicators, but I don't want you to go down the rabbit hole and try to figure out everything they are, because you're going to leave a lot of money on the table because you haven't traded, and you're going to watch my DeFi market investment wizards literally lap you on the track while you're still trying to figure out why the rubber is coming off the tire. My wizards and my traders are going to be making triple-digit returns while you're trying to figure out the science or the charts themselves. That's the mistake that a lot of people make. I'm a big fan of pulling the trigger, getting into the arena, and putting trades on. That's the fastest way to learn, and that's how we teach inside our DeFi Academy. All right, questions for all of you on Zoom. I want you to give me answers right now. First of all, tell me, what questions do you have for me about crypto technical analysis or chart reading? Put them in the Zoom call, put them in the IG, put them in the YouTube, put them on this video afterwards, and I'll come back and answer them. That's question one. And by the way, these are going live right here into my iPad. 2, do you struggle with poor discipline, and do you get emotional about trading, and how? It's one of the biggest problems of my students in the DeFi Accelerator. That's why they come to me. That's why they pay for our course, and that's why they get into our DeFi Market Wizards group and have that trading peer group. 3rd, would you like to be connected to a community of traders being transparent about their positions and P&L? By the way, I don't know of any other group in the entire world that does this. I know of a lot of forums and a lot of Twitter handles without real names on them that tell you what to buy, but I don't know of any group where people with their real names show you real portfolios and real P&Ls. That's what we do inside, but that's also why you have to apply to be in my course. I have to vet you and approve you, and you have to finish my 4-week course before you get inside. So we keep all the suckers out of my group, and we keep all the posers and all the talkers out. We only bring in the real people. My question for you is, would you like to be connected to that group? And finally, how would you like to learn from me about DeFi and be mentored in what I'm calling the greatest transformation of wealth in human history? So submit your questions right now. They're coming into my iPad. I can't wait to answer them for you right now. Before we get started, let me just answer a couple big quick questions, because I get asked on the streets, by taxi drivers, by famous guests, and when I take my kids to jiu-jitsu. Everybody asks me the same thing. They say, Brian, what's going on with this crypto stuff? What's going on with DeFi? And I'll tell them the same thing. I said, guess what? If you want to learn, go check out my new DeFi Academy. And this is where you can go right now and apply. It's londonreal.tv/DeFi. This is how to unlock $9 trillion of value through the decentralized marketplace. And again, it'll take 60 seconds. Put in your name, email, phone number, and write a quick sentence on why you should be a part of this group. Again, I'm looking for good energy. I'm looking for positivity. I'm looking for great experiences, great diversity of community. We have people, I think, in 40 countries around the world right now. Submit your application. It'll go to me. I'll read it right after this broadcast. I'll give you a thumbs up or thumbs down. You literally could be inside my private group and starting to get used to the content in the next 24 hours if you apply. If you join me, I'm going to teach you how to profit from the greatest dislocation of wealth in human history. Point blank. All right? I'm looking for a small group of people that are serious about doing this for the next 10 years. I want collaborators. I want colleagues. I want people who want to join forces with me and create generational wealth for ourselves and real value for the end user when it comes to the DeFi ecosystem. We have a limited number of spaces available. It's an application-only basis. It consists of 4 modules, 8 hours of live calls with me. It's 4 weeks long, and you're done. You will know more about crypto assets than 99.9% of the traders out there. The first call is live with me, and it's 2 weeks away. Again, you get personal coaching with me, exclusive access to our online platform, 15 different trading videos and downloadable assets. You get dedicated coaches, team leaders. I've got over 10 members of my team that helps you get across the goal line. And you've got my teaching system that I've used online for 7 years to get people all around the world, over 5,000 students, to be successful. And again, you get the DeFi Wizards group after the course is over. So we're running out of time. Click the link and apply right now. We have been inundated with applications. We have too many people that want to be a part of this course. But I want the best people. So I'm looking for people out there that really are going to help us take things to the next level and be a part of my group of trading wizards and DeFi professionals for the next 10 years. So please apply. If you click that link below and submit your application, you might get an email that looks like this. And this is an email not many people get. And it basically says your application to be part of the DeFi Academy has been successful. Enroll today and be part of our elite team. If you get that email, I'm telling you, don't even hesitate. Click the link, pull out the plastic, type in those digits, and literally, probably within 10 minutes, you'll be watching my videos, you'll be inside the community, and you'll be seeing how gangster this entire program is. It's amazing. It's the best product out there in the entire DeFi academic ecosystem. I can say that without doubt because I've looked at all the other products and I bought them all, and they're all massively substandard. They don't have any live component. They don't have any real teaching component. They don't have a community, and these platforms are not talking to the best professionals in the world every single week live on their platform. We are. That's what we bring to the table. I want to say one thing. My DeFi Accelerator is not for everybody. And it's not for you if you're one of these people. I'd like you to stay away from my program, and please do not apply if you're one of the following people. I do not want crypto day traders. Please go somewhere else. Most of you lose money and you waste a lot of people's time. And so my DeFi Academy is not for crypto day traders. It's also not for people looking to get rich quick. Please, there's plenty of people in the crypto space that will sell you that dream. That's not what we're doing here. I understand this is going to take hard work, 10 years in order to create a lot of wealth and value. And so I'm looking for people with a long-term perspective. 3, it's not for people that are into meme coins and internet forum trolls. There's a lot of weirdness going on out there and a lot of people that like to waste time. Please go somewhere else and save me the trouble. And this is not for blockchain fanboys and crypto academics. Again, that's for someone else, some other place. Do not apply to my DeFi Academy if you're one of those people. All right, just to be clear. But if you are one of the serious players, if you want to invest in the long term, if you want to be part of this space that's the greatest transformation of technology in our lifetimes and probably the lifetimes of your children and grandchildren, this is the fastest adoption of technology in human history. Faster than the internet, faster than the mobile phone. Twice as fast, in fact. Compounded annually, there'll be 1 billion users of crypto by 2025. All right? Again, if you haven't yet invested in this space and in yourself and in your education, I don't know, something's wrong with your head because it's happening right now. We are giving you a complete solution to do that in 4 weeks. Again, click the link below, apply. It costs nothing to apply. londonreal.tv/DeFi. I'll personally review your application and you could potentially be in our academy within hours. Lastly, I just want to say that you can download our free 8-step trading checklist if you go to londonreal.tv/DeFi. This is one of the many assets we provide to our students, and it just allows you to trade with discipline. All of my students check these 8 things before they place every single trade, and it's the reason they've been so successful, and it's the reason they're posting those triple-digit gains. All right, let's get into today's material. By the way, leave me questions below. Tell me what questions do you have about crypto, technical analysis, and chart reading. Tell me, do you struggle with poor discipline? Do you get emotional about trading, and how? Tell me, third, would you like to be connected to a community of traders and be transparent about trading and P&L, and would you like to learn from me? That's it. So let's get started. Again, if you're on Zoom, turn your cameras on. If you're on IG, leave me questions. And if you're on YouTube, we love you too. Let's talk about chart reading basics, candlesticks, volume indicators, and time frames. On screen here, you'll see what a basic candlestick indicator looks like. And you'll see there's a green one and a red one. And these combine to give us an idea of what the price action has been on an instrument. And with a candlestick chart, it's green if during that period of time of analysis, it's ended up higher than it began. Green means go, means up, means happy, means rally. It's red if the price is lower than that time price period. Now, I encourage most of my students to look at one-day candlestick charts. You can look at 4-hour charts, 15-minute charts, but it gives you an idea of what's going on. Now that's the body of that color. It also has something called a wick, and it's a little thing at the top and the bottom, and that indicates the range between the high and the low during that day. And of course, the color tells you which way it's trending up or down. Now, why is it created this way, and why do we use candlesticks? Well, we use it because when you combine these candlesticks together, it's a quick way for your brain to look at something and say, wow, that's a lot of green. That must mean that things are going up. Wow, that's a lot of red. That must mean things are going down. Wow, the greens are very tall. That means things are moving at a very large pace. Wow, the reds are very tall. That means things are moving at a large pace. Oh, they're very small. That means not much is happening. Oh, the wicks are really long up and down. That means there's a lot of volatility, but actually the price doesn't seem to be moving as a trend that much. That's why we look at candlesticks. And they're one of the most common ways that people look at technical analysis. Back when I was on Wall Street, on Bloomberg, they didn't have candlesticks. That was like advanced technology. So we just had to have, one ticker for one price move. We couldn't get all of this detailed data. But right now we use candlesticks, and they're one of the best ways to analyze and look at a chart and know what's going on. So that's what that is. I'll be showing candlestick charts later, so you'll know what they represent. But just so you know, that's how a candlestick is defined, and you can also, of course, do more research about this too. A couple more things I want to talk about before we actually look at the charts. A big thing to always consider with any chart read is the trading volume. Let me just repeat that. Trading volume is crucial when it comes to looking at a chart. Back when I used to trade, the bond markets, they would close at night. and we would reopen in the morning. All the volume typically happened in US hours. And so when things would trade in the middle of the night, in Asia or on a Singapore exchange, a lot of times the volume was 1/10 or 1/50th of what we would trade in New York City, which meant the price action couldn't necessarily be trusted because somebody might have just tried to buy a bunch and nobody was there trading, and it would move the price one way or the other and not really be indicative of where the buying and selling was. So always factor in trading volume when looking at any chart. Most of the charts out there offered online will always have a trading volume indicator on the bottom. Crypto actually usually trades about 24/7, usually in reasonable volume, but a lot of markets like equities and others, they really are range bound to times of day. Always look at the volume. That's just one key tip for everybody out there. Lastly, remember time frame. Every chart can change if you change the time frame. I could show you a 15-minute chart that wouldn't look any different than a 24-hour chart, that wouldn't look any different than a 1 month, 1 year, 10-year, 100-year chart, right? They all look like a bunch of candlesticks. And again, if you slice it down to a certain time frame, you can read whatever you want in that chart. So always be mindful to try to keep looking at a similar chart. And again, I like day time bands. I don't like to look at 4 hours and 15 minutes. I like to look at charts that have a few months of data going back as far as 12 months of data to get an idea in your head of what's going on. If you look at Bitcoin back to 10 years, you'll see, yes, it's going up. It's not necessarily helpful, but if you look back to 12 months, you'll see the spikes up in May when we saw the major rally. You'll see the sell-offs down to the 30s. You'll see we're coming back to the 40s, and you'll get a really good idea what's going on. So always remember, the time frame is everything. Don't take a chart that someone shows you without looking at the underlying time frame, because it's a big difference. All right, let's talk about support and resistance. I'm going to show this graph on the screen here, and we'll see levels that you'll see in a price chart analysis where there seems to be a support where on the bottom things aren't going any lower, and you'll see resistance on the top where the prices can't seem to go any higher. And I'm sure if you've been in this market for a little while, you've heard these terms of support and resistance, and they seem to be these natural floors on prices and these ceilings when prices try to go higher. Now, what are they based in? Well, all trading is based on humans and human emotions, and this constant battle we were in between fear and greed. And when I was a trader on Wall Street, that's what my life was: fear and greed. I would see the market going up, and I'd want to make a lot of money, and then I would get scared, and I would make sure that I didn't lose a lot of money. And the battle would go back and forth and back and forth. And so those support and resistance levels show you where people in the market are willing to buy things and where they're willing to sell things and take profits. And again, as more people learn about the crypto asset space and the DeFi space, as more people use these decentralized financial protocols, the more people will go in to buy these assets, and we will see these support levels go up. And that's why people like Michael Saylor, people like Dan Moorhead, people like Tika Tiwari are predicting $400,000 Bitcoin, $700,000 Bitcoin, because they believe the more people that come in this market, the higher those support levels go up. But in the meantime, we have resistance levels at the top. We have people that say $60,000 Bitcoin seems a little too much. I'm going to sell into that because I think I'm going to make some money when people kind of sober up and realize this is going to take some time. And that's where you get these support and resistance levels. It's important to know where they are on a chart. It's important to draw them yourselves to get an idea of where the psychology is. But again, it's just a tool to try to understand the markets. It's never something that is written in stone. Also, these support levels can slowly rise and decrease over time. And here's a price graph here where you see some of the support and resistance levels trending up and trending down. And again, this can happen, when everyone's talking about Bitcoin, like we saw in April and into May. Everyone's talking about it. It's in the news. Your grandma's asking about it. Taxi drivers are talking about it. It's natural for these support lines to start trending up until Bitcoin crashes a little bit, and then everyone gets burned, and they can kind of trend down while everyone realizes that maybe I shouldn't be trading this asset unless I've graduated from the DeFi Academy. And so that can trend down. So keep in mind, over time, these things trend up and down, and if we start to analyze this and draw the lines, we'll really have a good feel for what's happening with charts. So again, that's part one. I don't want to make this too complicated. I just want you to understand that there are charts. We use candlesticks to understand that data better. There are support and resistance levels, and these can trend up or down over time. I want to share with you just a quick video, and this is a little sneak peek from one of my video modules that my DeFi Academy students have access to. And this is one of 10 or 20 different videos we have on our e-learning platform that all of my students watch that just educates them in addition to the live calls. So here's me talking a little bit about candlesticks. Now let's begin with chart reading basics: candlesticks, volume indicators, and time frames. So what is a candlestick? A candlestick is a way of displaying information about an asset's price movement. Candlestick charts are one of the most popular components of technical analysis, enabling you to interpret price information quickly and from just a few price bars. Each candlestick has three basic features: the body, which represents the open to close range; the wick, that indicates the intraday high and low; and the color, which reveals the direction of market movement. A green body indicates a price increase, while a red body shows a price decrease. Over time, individual candlesticks form patterns that you can use to recognize major support and resistance levels. There are many candlestick patterns that indicate an opportunity within a market. Some provide insight into the balance between buying and selling pressures, while others identify continuation patterns or market indecision. And again, that's just a little sneak peek from some of the video modules that my students have access to inside the DeFi Accelerator. If you're interested, it's londonreal.tv/DeFi, DEFI. There's a link below. You can submit your application in 60 seconds. I'll personally read it right when we're done with this meeting. Now I want to go to questions. So everybody, wherever you're at, I'm getting them live right now into my laptop, to my iPad. What questions, first of all, do you have about technical analysis and chart reading? 2, tell me, do you struggle with poor discipline? Do you get emotional about trading, and how? 3rd, would you like to be connected with a community of traders that are totally transparent with their P&L and positions? And lastly, would you like to learn from me inside the DeFi Academy about this greatest dislocation of wealth in human history? Go into your questions right now. Again, I appreciate everybody being here. I got Cole Owens 4 here on Instagram. It says, Brian, I love London Real. In the spirit of helping everyone achieve financial freedom, I like XRP. It should be talked about more on this podcast. What are your thoughts on XRP? It's a great question, Cole. You know, XRP has a lot of great things going for it. It's been around. It obviously just has a bunch of big question marks when it comes to what's happening with our legal situation. And I want to talk about it more. I've invited their CEOs and their senior member on to come on the show. And so we're just waiting. I just think right now, because they're under the microscope, again, with some legal issues, that they've been a little quiet. And so it's a great question, Cole. And again, XRP is still one of the top 10 market caps out there, and it's still showing some amazing gains. And I appreciate your feedback. And again, I'll just push those people in that protocol to come on our show live, because we're going to have everybody on this show that matters in the DeFi community. So thanks, Cole. I appreciate that. I got Eden on Instagram that says, hey, Brian, heard of NFTs? You invested in any? Great question, Eden. I've done a lot of extensive commentary on NFTs. I did a 35-minute piece inside my academy this week on NFTs. Stani Kulichev, by the way, our gong just went off here in the DeFi Academy, which means someone just became a member of our academy. We hit the gong. I don't know if you could hear that out there, but I appreciate whoever's in. That was Silas, who just joined our academy, SYLAS. We appreciate you, Silas. If you go in right now, you can get access to the first videos. You can join our community, upload your introduction video, and you can already get started on the module. I'll see you on the first live call in just under 2 weeks, so I appreciate you. Eden, just back to NFTs, Stani Kulichev, CEO of Aave, one of the biggest DeFi companies in the world, owns 2,000 NFTs. We had a 20-minute conversation about NFTs that is priceless. I am a big fan of NFTs. I am buying one in the next 7 days. And if you think this is just for weirdos who have lost their minds buying digital JPEGs for millions of dollars, you've missed the point of NFTs. In fact, if you understand NFTs, I would argue you understand DeFi. And so that's one of the many topics we are covering inside the DeFi Academy, and I appreciate you asking me. I got King Jaff Joe 24 on Instagram, says, you're amazing. Thank you, King. I always appreciate hearing that on a Friday, so thank you. I got the real Travis Carlin, says simply, quote, round of applause to the real Brian Rose. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support. We got Brian Bronco via Zoom. What's up, Brian? Great to see you. And he asks, Brian, what is wrapped BTC or wrapped Bitcoin? And it's a great question, Brian. This is what a lot of people don't understand, and they should understand. You know, wrapped Bitcoin is taking Bitcoin, which is a separate blockchain, a separate protocol that trades on its own which is known as digital property, and it's an incredible bulletproof instrument that we can exchange with each other all around the world. But it's not a programmable smart contract, and it's not based on a blockchain that is programmable, such as Ethereum. And so we've always had this conundrum. You got Bitcoin here, and you got smart contracts over here and the whole DeFi ecosystem. And some smart person said, guess what? Let's take a Bitcoin, let's wrap it up in Ethereum, and now we can trade that wrapped Bitcoin on all of our Ethereum DeFi protocols. So that's what wrapped Ethereum is. It's a great way to make sure that Bitcoin asset is tradable and fungible on our DeFi platforms. And it's an incredible thought, and it just shows you the level of innovation happening in DeFi right now. You see it everywhere. You see it with Stani Ave, the CEO that was here this week. You see it with liquidity pools, with options trading, with insurance, with synthetics, all of the hot and amazing stuff happening right now in the DeFi ecosystem. So that's one of the pieces. And again, we are educating people on this. We are investing in this, and this is the future. We couldn't be more excited. I got Squinton here that says, thanks for the content. We appreciate you. I appreciate you being here. I got Mark Abrams on Zoom that says, quote, for futures trades and leverage trading, something I have not yet managed to get my head around, does technical analysis help such trades quite intensively? And Mark, honestly, you can do technical analysis on anything from a future to an option to a spot trade to, even a temperature, a global temperature. All of this stuff, any data point like that with historical prices and real-time data can be used. And so it's important to look at all of those things when you consider a trade. But I will say this, Mark. You never want to use technical analysis for a trading decision, because if you stare at that chart long enough, you will convince yourself to do whatever you want to do. And again, that can be the dangers of technical analysis. Again, all of the trades that we put on inside the DeFi Academy are done with discipline, are done with real thought, with a trading peer group, and with a lot of rules that we use to keep us honest over time, and so we don't have these massive losses, and we lock in our gains on every single trade. So that's what we do inside here. Again, it's a little different than what the market does, but most of the market's losing money, and our students are posting, like I said, those triple-digit gains. We couldn't be more proud. So great question. Thank you, Mark. A couple more here before we get to point two. I got Brian Lagansky on Zoom that says, quote, my biggest issue is fear of missing out and buying too high. And Brian, you said it. You and everybody else in this market, fear of missing out, also known as FOMO, is why a lot of people buy the highs. And we saw it happen with Bitcoin back in May and April. Everybody heard about Bitcoin. They bought Bitcoin at $65,000, and then it crashed, and they went crying, and they took a lot of pain, and they bought too high. This is natural, Brian. That's why we have trading rules and trading disciplines. I call it How to Trade Like a Terminator, which is one of our modules inside the DeFi Accelerator, and it gets you to start trading almost like a robot, like a Terminator. You search and destroy, and you kill without emotion. That's the way we want to teach you how to trade. When you start getting emotional, trust me, everything goes wrong as a trader. And that's what we teach inside our academy. A couple more here. I got Angela Brita on Zoom. Hey, Angela, how are you? Good to see you. You say, how much experience does one need to be part of your DeFi Academy group? Angela, I've got students in there right now that have never bought a crypto asset in their life. And I have someone that bought Bitcoin back in 2013. I got someone who owns their own DApp, their own decentralized application. I got someone who owns their own fund. I've also got someone who doesn't know what Ethereum is, all right? And so we actually think that our diversity makes us stronger. I always say you can go fast alone or you can go further together. It's an old quote, I think, by Nelson Mandela, who quoted someone else. And we are stronger because we have people from all of our communities. The way I teach, you don't need to know anything. And by the way, my mom, Betty Rose, 76 years old, just got her hot wallet, just got Ethereum on Sunday. Also, my daughter, Gabriella, 17, also has a hot wallet on MetaMask, and she has Ethereum as well. So I am educating my entire family. My 5-year-old son, Caden, is next. I'm going to get him trading crypto. That's my next project. And I believe that everybody should be in this space now because it affects your future. It's your basic human right for financial freedom, and it's going to change everything. So we encourage everybody to join our course, and that includes you too as well, Angela. A couple more. I got Samuel Bork here, who's in my Kings of DeFi Advanced Trading Protocol course, which is what comes after the Accelerator. And we really appreciate Samuel and all the incredible work that he does inside the course. He's a good Python programmer, I'll say that. And he said, Brian, I'd like to hear whether we can combine indicators such as MACD and RSI together, which is a great question. And the truth is, we're going to get into this in the third part, Samuel, but I think you have to look at all of these together. I think you have to look at the Bollinger Bands, the RSIs, the MACDs, as well as the other moving averages, as well as a gut feel, as well as what your trading peer group is saying before you can make a call. And if you try to rely on one indicator, I think it's always going to end in tears and pain and losses. And as Gordon Gekko said, nothing ruins my day more than losses. So let's avoid them. Good question, Samuel. I got Travis Tolliver here, one of my graduates from DeFi Accelerator, who's in my Market Wizards. He says, what's up, Brian? It's Travis. I know you, Travis. Travis was an expert in saving on gas fees on Ethereum. And he says, I'm talking to my mom, who is 79, to join this upcoming Academy course. Travis, I love you, brother. I can't wait. We've got Diane inside our current course, who's 77. And she said, Brian, the other day, she's like, does that qualify as getting your grandma on this trade? Because I'm basically a grandma. And if I'm not careful, I'll be a grandpa soon as well. So thank you, Travis. We appreciate you. Travis posts regularly in our Market Wizards group. He just posted his mid-month September trading positions and reports. And Travis, I appreciate you. I look forward to getting mom in there. And maybe she'll join my mom as well. I'm trying to get my mom to close all the time. But my mom's got to pay too. All right, so I'm waiting for her to, to step it up, pull out her credit card and join us. And if she does, I'm happy to bring my mom up to speed. Right now, all she has is the MetaMask wallet, but pretty soon she'll be trading. So look forward to seeing Betty in there, as well as your mother, Travis. And finally, I got Clinton here, Sykes here, who actually just joined our Kings of DeFi, which is our advanced trading protocol group. So great to have you here, Clint. And he just joined us as well, so thank you. All right, let's get back to part two. Again, I appreciate everybody here. And let's talk about the second section of this, which is how to understand what I call ascending and descending trend lines. This is triangle price pattern and moving average analysis. Let me put something on screen that might look weird and it might not. It's called an ascending triangle, all right? Now, if you look on screen, you're gonna see a price pattern that has like a triangle formulation. And as the triangle gets to one of its points, you'll see that the price breaks through, in this case, to the upside. And this is called an ascending triangle. And I encourage all of my students, and I encourage you after this is done, to go on to any free technical analysis software. You can get it on Binance and Coinbase or a lot of different places, and look at a price trend and see if you can draw some triangles and see if you can find an ascending triangle pattern. And what this shows is basically this. This shows that there are more buyers than sellers. And any triangle pattern is basically expressing the constant back and forth pressure between buyers and sellers in a marketplace. And let's be honest, if there are no sellers in a marketplace, the price of an asset will go all the way possibly to infinite. And if there are only sellers in a market, the price will probably go to zero or near zero. So it's important to understand that. All marketplaces are just a combination of buyers and sellers. And we used to have a joke when I was on Wall Street where someone would come by our desk and say, oh, the market's up today. Why is it up? They used to ask us as traders. And we used to give this kind of nasty response, and we'd say, because there's more buyers than sellers. Now, could you please get out of my face because I'm busy, right? And so we always used to say that. There's more buyers than sellers. That's why the price is up. There's more sellers than buyers. And it was our way of saying that you can come up with great theories and you can talk about macroeconomic indicators. And our economists used to come out on the floor and talk about the great predictions of what the Fed was going to do. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to supply and demand. And whether that's happening, that's how you know what the price is. And so that's what an ascending and a descending triangle pattern show. In this case, an ascending pattern shows that the buyers are coming in and they're testing the sell levers. They're testing that higher level of resistance. And the price is bouncing off the resistance and back into the buyers, and back off the resistance level and back into the buyers. And those volatile price movements are coming shorter and shorter and shorter, to where it comes to the point of that triangle where something's going to happen. And in an ascending triangle pattern, the price gaps higher. And if you go look at the price of crypto assets and Bitcoin and Ethereum over the last 12 months, you can actually see these things happen. You can see an ascending triangle when it comes to the big rally we saw earlier this year. You can see triangle patterns forming right now as we speak when it comes to the price of Bitcoin. You can look at 2020 and see these patterns last year as well. So go look at these ascending triangles and you can see what I'm talking about. The flip side of that is something called a descending triangle. And I'll put this picture on screen. This is a bearish signal that the price is about to drop on an asset. And again, we saw this back in May when Bitcoin was hitting its highs and we saw selling pressure going in. And if you look at the descending triangle, you'll see a flat line on the bottom where there seems to be this this support level where there's a bunch of buyers that are keeping the price to a certain level, but the sellers are coming in, they're trying to get away as many of these assets as they can get. They're selling Bitcoin, selling Bitcoin, selling Bitcoin. But there's a bunch of people out there that just read the news and they're buying. But it comes to a point of this triangle where there's no more buyers left. And that's when you see a descending triangle pattern break down to the downside. And we saw this in May when the price of Bitcoin plummeted from the mid-60s all the way down into the high 30s. And again, it's very simple. Pull up a chart right now and go back and you can draw two trend lines and you can see this descending triangle. And again, hindsight's always 20/20, but the point of technical analysis is if you start drawing these lines, and anybody can draw a line. I could teach my sons, Caden and Damon, 4 and 5 years old, to draw these lines. And you can start to get an idea of where these patterns are happening, the descending and the ascending triangle patterns. And so it's an important thing to remember and to look in here and to see what's going on in order to predict future prices. Finally, I want to talk about what's called a symmetrical triangle. And this is one where it's not obvious if it's going higher or lower. And I'll put this price on screen and we'll go ahead and take a look at this thing. I think we're just checking on a couple of our cameras here as well to make sure that I'm coming through here. Especially here forward, but we'll go ahead and put this price chart here up on the screen and show you that it's not always this clear. Sometimes it's not obvious whether we have a descending price or an ascending price. And sometimes what happens at the end of that point of the triangle is you don't know which way it's going to go, up or down, but you do know it's going to break one way or the other because you can see that the buying and the selling pressure are coming together to a certain point. This is what's called the symmetrical triangle pattern. And again, it's an indicator that something is about to happen and something is going to break out. And it's important to understand that watching these things is a way that we can kind of try to predict the future price action of what's happening with these triangles. And to understand the symmetrical pattern is to understand what the full Monty is of these triangle patterns going forward. So that's when it comes to the triangles. Again, start drawing these and you can start to see what's happening. I want to finish with a concept called moving averages. And moving averages are basically simple concepts. You're basically taking, as opposed to a one-day price, you're taking the average of, say, the last 200 days of a price, and you're plotting that line instead. So as opposed to, say, taking the price of Bitcoin today at 47,000, I'm going to take the price of Bitcoin every day for the past 200 days. I'm going to add all those up and divide by 200, and I'm going to get a moving average. And when you look at the moving averages of various time periods, you'll start to see certain trends happening. And again, I'm going to put a chart up on screen that shows you a basic one-day candlestick, and I think we still might be checking on some camera pieces here, but you're going to see a basic one-day candlestick, and we'll put this chart up right now. You'll also see that in combination with a 50-day moving average, a 100-day moving average, and a 200-day moving average. And I think this chart is on the screen right now. I'm just going to check right now, and you'll see that sometimes these lines are intersecting with each other. And when you see moving averages intersect, a lot of times you know something is about to happen and something is about to break out. And so that's why we find these things very interesting and very exciting. And in the next section, I'm going to talk about MACD, which is a way of looking at these trend lines crossing each other in a way that's quantifiable and something that we can constantly monitor with our eyes when we make our trading decisions. So now I want to cut to a short video. Again, this is from one of our video modules that has me talking about these concepts of triangles, ascending and descending, and how you can use them to trade for profits. Here's that video right now. Often a bullish chart pattern, the ascending triangle in an uptrend is not only easy to recognize, but is also very effective as an entry or exit signal. It should be noted that a recognized trend should be in place for the triangle to be considered a continuation pattern. In the ascending triangle diagram, you can see that an uptrend is in place, and the demand line or lower trend line is drawn to touch base of the rising lows. The two highs have formed at the top line. These highs do not have to reach the same price point, but should be very close to each other. The buyers may not be able to break through the supply line at first, and they may take a few runs at it before establishing new ground and new highs. Let's consider our second type, the descending triangle. The descending triangle is recognized primarily in downtrends and is often thought of as a bearish signal. As you can see in the diagram, the descending triangle pattern is the upside down image of the ascending triangle pattern. The two lows on the above chart form the lower flat line of the triangle, and again, have to be only close in price action rather than exactly the same. And again, there was just a little taste of a video inside our DeFi Academy. We've got, like I said, I think 20 of those videos that all my students watch in the background in addition to our 8 hours of live calls, and that's why they've been so successful. Right now, I want to get your questions. So tell me, what questions do you have about crypto, technical analysis, and chart reading for me? Put it right now if you're on Instagram, if you're on Zoom, on any platform, it's going to come right here. Second, do you struggle with poor discipline? Do you get emotional about trading, and how? Third, would you like to be connected to a community of traders being transparent about their positions in P&L? And lastly, how would you like to learn from me about DeFi and what I'm calling the greatest dislocation of wealth in human history? Go into questions right now. Turn your camera on Zoom because I want to feature all of you. Wave if you're on Zoom. This is our in-studio audience here. A few people that have decided to join us. It's great to see all of you here and a bunch of shy people as well. And again, I'm going to give those questions first priority down here as well. A bunch of Zoom questions. First, I'll check in on Instagram. I got Eliza Banks 21 via Instagram that says, quote, "Realest guy there is. Well done for the great work, mate." Thank you, Eliza. I'm guessing you're down in Oz hanging us out there. I got Mafo Talone on Zoom that says, as a question, is Bitcoin better than gold? Great question. You know, they call Bitcoin digital gold. Michael Saylor, one of my guests, calls Bitcoin digital property. I do think that's true. I think this is a new paradigm in the way that we can find value in the world, and I think it is going to replace what's going on out there. So I couldn't be more excited. I think it's a great asset to invest in, and a lot of people agree with me as well. I got Mika Camp here on YouTube that says, excellent one-on-one advice. Thanks, Brian. I appreciate Mika. My job is to get you the information as simply as possible and to get you trading as fast as possible. That's what we do inside our academy. I got Laura Acuna on Zoom that says, quote, "I'm wondering what platform you were using to trade." Laura, we used all sorts of platforms inside our academy. We have all sorts of centralized exchanges that we have access to, and we encourage our students to use a broad variety, and we get into that inside the DeFi Academy. Really good question there. We've got Mark Alpha Abrams on Instagram that says, "This course made quite the fundamental difference to me." Great to have you, Mark. And Mark is one of our trading success stories inside our academy, and we really appreciate the hard work that you're doing here, Mark. It was really fantastic. And again, look forward to continue working with you. We've got Ruben Vasquez on Facebook that says, "I'm clueless about any trading. This is my first time actually listening to trading. Straight greenhorn." And so great to have you here, Ruben. The truth is most people trading crypto have no idea what they're doing. They struggle, they fail, and that's why we're here. We're here to educate people and to help people going on. A couple more questions here. We got Chinmay on Zoom that says, typically how long should one put each day once accepted to the DeFi Academy? Honestly, it takes about 2 to 4 hours a week. So if you have half a day on Sunday, you can do everything that we need you to do. We're all about trying to get the minimal amount of information to get you the maximum value and the maximum profit on your DeFi investments. We're really good at this. I've actually been teaching online via Zoom for coming up on 7 years in January. We've got some amazing tools and methods that we use to hold people accountable. We do it all live. I've got tons of members of staff that help you get along, and it's the best course in the business. I couldn't be more proud. Brian Legansky on Zoom, great to have you, Brian. Follows on from his last comment and said, when selling, do you put that money into a stable coin that generates high interest so you can buy back when the market dips? And Brian, it's a great point. We encourage all of our DeFi accelerators to always have a small part of their position in liquid cash. And this typically means a stable coin, because a stable coin you can hold on the exchange and you can quickly buy Avalanche. If you're listening to me talking to Stanley on Wednesday and you realize this is next level, you can quickly invest in one of these other protocols that my students buys. And so we always like to keep some stable coin and some of those assets there so we can quickly make those trading decisions. Lastly, I got Bill Johnson on Zoom that said, you mentioned your conversation with Stanley Kulachov. Which other big name crypto guests do you have planned? Well, first of all, we've already had some incredible people on the show. Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Michael Saylor with $5 billion of crypto on his balance sheet. Anthony Scaramucci with $1 billion of crypto on his balance sheet and trading funds. Dan Moorhead with $3 billion invested in crypto. Raoul Paul, a great guy when it comes to, he's almost a futurist when it comes to crypto. We've had so many people on here. The founder of Compound. And in the future, we've got the founder of Nexo, the founder of Celsius, the founder of Cardano coming on here. We're going to have everybody in the business that's relevant and important, and that's what we're doing here. And that's why our academy is so good, because I'm getting all the information firsthand. And that's why we also have a great trading peer group, because everybody wants to be a part of what we're doing inside here in DeFi and the DeFi Academy. So again, couldn't be more excited. It's all kicking off right now. And we've also got BitBoy Crypto coming back on the show next week. We were big fans of what he's doing as well. And we've got more people coming in as far as fund managers, etc. So great stuff. I want to finish with our third and final point. Again, if you want to be a part of this academy, go to londonreal.tv/DeFi, submit your application. I'll literally read it when we're done here, and I'll give you a yes or no. If you get a yes and you get that email, join the course immediately. Trust me, pull the trigger, and you'll get starting to learn right away. All right, last part I want to get through, advanced technical analysis. I want to talk about MACD, RSI, and Bollinger Bands. And look, before you get too crazy and freaked out by these things, here's a picture on the screen of something called MACD. Now, MACD is a basic way to compare those moving averages. In a simple way, it's what it does. It looks at exponential moving averages, it looks at different day ranges, but it's a kind of a good way to look at a long-term moving average and a shorter-term moving average so you can get an idea of what's happening. And if you saw in that chart, that top part there, it had bullish and bearish signals. And when it's bullish, the MACD is telling you that it's time to buy. And when it's bearish, the MACD is telling you that it's overbought and it's time to sell. And like I said, the MACD is quite simple. It's a 26-day exponential moving average versus a shorter-term 12-day exponential moving average. And it looks at the difference between these longer and shorter term pieces. And by comparing the two, you can start to see whether the market is trending in the short term versus the long term. And it can show you whether it feels like there's a lot of buyers or there's a lot of sellers or it's about to change. And I'm telling you, these averages can be very revealing. And as opposed to you having to look at a 25-day and a 50-day and a 100-day and a 200-day, you can just look at the MACD and it'll give you an indicator. And again, the MACD sits alongside your candlestick chart. It sits alongside your trading volume indicator. It sits alongside your moving day averages, and it's one other piece of information that you can use to tell you if a market is overbought or oversold. Second tool that we can use for that is something called an RSI. And I'll stick this on the screen. An RSI, it stands for Relative Strength Indicator. It goes from 100 to 0. And again, you'll see here, this is a Bitcoin price chart here, and you'll see the RSI in that bottom graph, and you'll see it go from 0 to 100, and you can see when it's low, down near the tens, the 0 and 10 mark, it's time to buy because it shows that the market has been oversold. And you can see when it gets up near 100 or 90, you can see that there's too many buyers in the market. It's already made its price move, and it's time to sell this market. And you can see those green arrows and those red arrows, and you can see in this case, it was a fantastic predictor of what the actual price would do. And that's what these things are. They're indicators of where the price is going to lead in the future. And if you combine the MACD with the RSI, you're going to get an idea on when the market is overbought and oversold. The last great indicator to keep up on your price trend is something called Bollinger Bands. And a Bollinger Band is quite simple. It basically uses the 20-day moving average. That's the middle line in the Bollinger Band that you can see on screen. And then it takes 2 standard deviations higher and 2 standard deviations lower, and that's that top band. And you can see that kind of a blue band on the chart that we're seeing right now, Bitcoin versus US dollar. And you can see the top band versus the lower band, and you can see in that big sell-off period how the price was testing those bottom Bollinger Bands, and you can see when it's rallying how it starts to test those top Bollinger Bands. And those are giving you indicators of where the market's about to go and whether you should be buying or selling. And again, I want to be clear here. You want to use all of these indicators in unison. You want to be looking at the RSI, at the MACD and the Bollinger Band. You want to have the moving averages on screen, and you want to have your candlestick charts. You also want to have your trading peer group. You also want to have your 10-coin list. If you're inside my academy, you know what I'm talking about. You want to have your 30-day watch list. You want to be talking with a group of people about the right positions to place. You also want to have your stop loss orders and your profit-taking orders, which we cover inside the academy. All of these things together makes you a good trader. It's not one of these pieces. So again, I'm showing you these advanced technical instruments and I'm just defining them right now. We go deeper inside the academy. But I just want to be clear. Don't trust one indicator. Don't ever make decisions based on a Bollinger Band or an RSI or a MACD, because like I said, if you look hard enough, you can find an indicator anywhere to confirm what your brain wants to do. And that could be a palm reader, a crystal ball, or a lucky rabbit's foot. You can always find something that will confirm your reason to trade. The question is it the right, intelligent, logical decision? And that's why we like to pool a lot of these indicators, in addition with consultation with a trading peer group and a lot of my years of experience before we put on these positions. And that's why we've been so successful trading inside my academy. I want to bounce now to a last little bit of video I want to share. Again, this is a little sneak peek inside one of my modules inside the academy where I'm talking a little bit more about MACD and RSI. I want to start by discussing MACD, or Moving Average Convergence Divergence, which is a trend-following momentum indicator that shows the relationship between two moving averages of an asset's price. The MACD is calculated by subtracting the 26-period exponential moving average, or EMA, from the 12-period EMA. The result of that calculation is the MACD line. A 9-day EMA of MACD, called the signal line, is then plotted on top of the MACD line, which can function as a trigger for buy and sell signals. Another tool is the Relative Strength Indicator, or RSI, which aims to signal whether a market is considered to be overbought or oversold in relation to recent price levels. The RSI is an oscillator that calculates average price gains and losses over a given period of time. The default time period is 14 periods, with values bounded from 0 to 100. With RSI, an overbought signal suggests that short-term gains may be reaching a point of maturity. And that was just a little taste of what's inside our modules with some of the video content. That's the DeFi Academy. And look, now I want to go for our last and final question and answer session. What questions do you have about crypto technical analysis and chart reading? Tell me anything. This is your last chance. Secondly, do you struggle with poor discipline? Do you get emotional about trading, and how? Third, would you like to be connected to a community of traders being transparent about their positions and P&Ls? And lastly, how would you like to learn from me about DeFi and to be mentored by me personally on how to profit from this dislocation of wealth in human history? I couldn't be more excited. Going to your questions, lastly, this is the last time we're gonna jump in here. And again, I really appreciate all the questions coming in here. I got a question here of someone that just said, Brian, I'm confused. Is RSI and MACD, do they indicate the same thing? And the truth is, they look at a lot of the similar underlying factors, but they also look at different historical price data. So a lot of times they give you the same idea and result, but since they're looking at different data, they always predict something different in the future. That's why I like looking at all sorts of pieces of data. I also like looking at all sorts of different price points and also lots of different opinions. And if you look back on those old pictures of the trading floor on Wall Street, all of those inputs into my trading desk were pieces of information. Now, back in the day, they were speakers of people yelling. They were conversations I was having with various people placed around the world about what they thought was happening, or people that wanted to transact with me. And that's how I compiled all of that information. So you as a trader, you need to use all the information that you have at your disposal. And all of those things are possible with free technical analysis. So again, you can get access to all of these things for free on a lot of your centralized exchange trading platforms and other ones. You can also pay for more information if that's what you want. And so that's what we're doing today. And that's what you can find. And so again, remember that you can always go and find that data, and you can look back to the pieces of data and the trading data. And that's how you can always find a way to go through that and to learn and place more from those technical analysis pieces. And so I just want to say to anybody who's still here with me, I want to say this. This is your chance to take advantage of the greatest change in human technology in history. This will be the greatest creation of wealth that we've ever seen. This is the greatest adoption of technology. And that's why I think it's important that you learn now as opposed to later. And I'm going to be teaching all of this stuff inside my DeFi Academy. And now is the time to join. If you click the link, or if you look at this graphic on screen, you can go to londonreal.tv/DeFi, that's DEFI. and you can apply now to join my academy and be part of the greatest dislocation of wealth in human history. I'm going to teach you how to profit from DeFi and this incredible marketplace of decentralized finance. Again, I want to give power back to the people. I want to enable billions of people worldwide to have that basic human right of financial freedom. And I want also to empower people to create generational wealth for them and their families. If you join me, I will teach you how to do this. We have an incredible group here. And again, I'm looking for a small select group of people who want to participate with me in this upcoming DeFi revolution. I'm looking for partners, collaborators, and colleagues. If you're one of these people, click the link below or go to londonreal.tv/DeFi right now. Again, 60 seconds, apply. I will personally read your application and look at it. I'll give you a yes or no. And again, if you have great energy, if you have great ideas, if you have great motivation, fantastic. That's who I want in my academy. If you have experience, great. If you have other ideas and connections, great. But we're looking for a diverse group of people, and that's who I'm going to bring inside my community. But there are a specific group of people that I'm not looking for. So please do not apply to my academy if you are one of the following people. My academy is not for crypto day traders. This is not for people looking to get rich quick. This is not for people who like meme coins and going on forums and trolling people. This is not for blockchain fanboys and crypto academics who like to research all of the details of what the blockchain is all about. I'm looking for a small group of people that actually want to pull the trigger. I'm looking for people that want to come in with me and invest in this incredible technology and movement. I'm looking for people that want to get into the arena, that want to get their hands dirty, that want to win a few and lose a few, but they want to keep on fighting. That's what we're going to do, and we're doing this as a community. And again, my students are already posting triple-digit gains in their very first month of trading. Not one, not two, but lots of different people are posting triple-digit gains, and it's because we've got an incredible way to educate. We've got an incredible accountability process. We've got an incredible team and an incredible community. Again, I can't take credit for all of this because there are real people out there pulling the trigger, putting on real positions, and learning and sharing with each other. Again, we have incredible opportunities that are going to happen in this space in the next 4 months, in the next 4 years, and we're looking for people with a long-term perspective that want to apply. I'm going to be dedicating the next 10 years of my life to DeFi. Would you like to join me and this elite team? The very first course that we have offered is the DeFi Accelerator. It's the keys to unlock a $9 trillion marketplace. It's 4 weeks, it's 4 modules, it's invitation only, and it's based on your application. That's what you can do. You can join me inside the DeFi Accelerator. And let me quickly talk about what we learn inside the Accelerator. Once you join, you get access to Module 0 and then Module 1, which is week 1 of my DeFi Academy, and it's decoding the history of this complex marketplace. I'm going to walk you through, and I think this stuff's probably on screen right now, everything from Bitcoin creation back in 2009 all the way up to Ethereum 2.0 in 2021. I'm going to tell you how we got here and why this represents the biggest dislocation of wealth in human history. We're going to talk about smart contracts, Ether Delta, ICO boom and bust, Black Thursday, compound liquidity mining, DeFi summer, and more. I'm going to break down everything you need to know to understand the history so we can profit from the future. That's in week 1. Then we get into Module 2 and week 2, which is get into the arena and put on your trades. I'm going to show you how to buy Ethereum, Bitcoin, stablecoins. I'm going to show you how to bulletproof and understand your hot and cold storage systems and wallets. I'm going to get you trading on centralized exchanges, and you're going to place your first swap on a decentralized exchange. Most people in crypto have never done this in their lives, and yet I've got new people and new students doing this in week 2 of my academy. It's exciting. It's very action-oriented, and we pull the trigger every single day. Then we have week 3. This is DEXs, dApps, yield farming, complex instruments, and derivatives trading. I'm going to show you, and by the way, my current class is doing week 3 right now. They got Module 3 today. You're going to finance your coins using platforms like Aave that we had Stani Kulichov on from this week in the show. I'm going to show you about complex money markets. I'm going to teach you about liquidity pools, smart contracts, insurance. I'm going to teach you about derivatives, which I believe is the future of DeFi. I'm going to teach you about synthetics, call and put strategies, and you are going to buy your first option on Ethereum on week 3. My students are doing that this week. It's an incredible time, and again, it's an amazing way to learn. We do it with accountability, with pulling the trigger, with action, and that's what makes our academy different from everyone else. And of course, week 4, I show you on how to place your bets on the future of DeFi and position your portfolio for the 22nd century. Here, I'm going to show you how to manage risk, which is a game of controlling your emotions. I'm going to show you how to place asymmetrical trades for long-term gains. I'm going to show you how to manage a portfolio of assets to set up and understand stop loss orders, and to continually educate yourself on this new market and what's happening. This is an exciting time. This is our biggest module of the course, and it's one I'm most proud of. I'm going to show you how to manage your emotions. I'm going to show you about what I call all sorts of things like my 10-coin rule, 8-step trading list, the first system, our 30-day watch, and this is why my students have been so successful. But on top of that, there's even more. We have a bonus module, which is how to trade DeFi for long-term gains. Here I'm going to show you my personal positions, my picks for the future, and the lessons I've learned over the past 30 years of trading the financial markets. And again, if you manage to get accepted and graduate from my course, then you qualify for access to my DeFi Market Wizards investment group. This is where my students are posting these triple-digit gains. This is invitation only. Nobody from the outside is allowed in this group unless you've graduated from my DeFi Accelerator. Again, this is an incredible place where we have a transparent trading peer group, the only one of its kind in DeFi that I'm aware of, where you have real people with real positions and real P&L. And again, this is usually how we find out about the hot coins that are making the big moves out there. And that all happens inside DeFi Market Investment Wizards. So just to conclude, it's 8 hours of live calls with me, personal coaching by me, exclusive access to all of our videos, our e-learning platform, my triple-tiered accountability system, over 10 of my dedicated coaches, team leaders, and community managers, our private group for uploading video, limited number of spaces available. It's an application-only basis. Again, this course has proven itself to be amazing. We've proven our results, and now everybody I know wants to get in on this DeFi revolution. Ours is the best academy in the world, and honestly, the price is probably a tenth of what it should be. We could probably charge 10 times as much on this course, so now is the time to apply, and if you get accepted, like I said, pull the trigger and quickly sign up before you lose that spot. We are starting very soon on what's happening now. And again, click the link below, go to londonreal.tv/DeFi, apply. It takes 60 seconds, name, email address, phone number, and a personal message to me that I will read right after this phone call, and I'll give you a yes or no whether you can join my academy. If you get accepted, you can be in the academy tonight. You can start talking with your class members. You can start learning about these videos, and we can take everything to the next level. And again, I couldn't be more excited. Lastly, I just want to leave you with this final thought, and that's this concept of this. If you're listening to me right now, you're probably here for a reason. Life all comes down to a few moments. This is one of them. You can choose now to invest in DeFi and to educate yourself and join us in the DeFi Accelerator, or you can wait a few years and you're going to miss all of the incredible price action. You're going to miss all of those opportunities, and you're going to miss getting access to this amazing trading peer group. So I would say life all comes down to a few moments. It reminds me of that incredible moment in the movie Wall Street where Bud Fox is about to meet Gordon Gekko, and he looks himself in the mirror and he adjusts his tie and he says, life all comes down to a few moments. This is one of them. He goes into the office, he pitches Gordon Gekko, and he ends up doing business with him. And they go on to some crazy adventures. They make a lot of money together. But it's all because Bud Fox pulled the trigger, and he went into the office and he pitched Gordon. Now's your chance to pull the trigger. Click on the link. Pitch yourself to us inside the DeFi Academy. We want to see if you've got what it takes, and we'll give you an answer right away. If we approve you, jump on this. Jump inside the accelerator. It's going to be an incredible experience. Again, we've got the best course in the business. We've got the best community in the business. We've got the best guest speakers in the business coming on this show live every single week to transfer that knowledge back to you. This is an exciting part of human history. Don't miss out. Don't tell your grandkids one day that you could have been a part of this when they ask, what were you doing in 2021 and 2022? The choice is yours. Apply now. Go to londonreal.tv/DeFi, submit your application, and I look forward to welcoming you in this amazing academy. We're going to invest together. We're going to create a lot of money together. We're going to create wealth, and also we're going to build the DeFi financial infrastructure of the future. We're going to help those 2 billion people in the world who are being denied that basic fundamental human right of financial freedom. It's a travesty. We all should be embarrassed, and we should solve this last remaining point, well, I think, when it comes to human rights, and give people their financial freedom back. Let's do this together. I will see you inside the academy. I appreciate all of you out there. Thank you to all my students, all my wizards, all my supporters. I hope you enjoyed this video. Share it, like it, subscribe, etc. And I'll see you next time on DeFi Live. Thank you so much. We'll see you. Bye.